Hello, Veritas families, and welcome to Family Orientation for the 2020-2021 school year. To all of our returning families, it's great to see you again. It's been way too long. And to our new families, welcome to the Veritas community. My name is Nick Etchman, and I am the Executive Director at VCP. Now, in any scenario, it's an honor and a privilege to be trusted with the education of your scholars, but it's especially so during these crazy times we live in now. We're honored that you have chosen us for this sacred task. And is why we've been working so hard this summer, in particular these last 2 weeks, getting ready for the new year. On top of the changes we're facing due to the pandemic, this year also marks a natural transition point for Veritas as we enter our second 10 years of operation. The first decade of Veritas saw amazing scholar growth, recognition of the school for outstanding achievement, a new school building, and countless moments of joy in the classroom. As we start the next 10 years, how appropriate is it that our very first class will be graduating from college this spring? The class of 2021 really reminds us what this is all about, preparing your children to be accomplished scholars and ethical leaders in their communities. Now, with this video, we would like to review a few topics for making your transition to virtual learning as easy as possible. First, Ms. Mackey will discuss our distance learning platform, VCP Virtual, and all the tools you'll be using with online learning. I'll come back to speak about our plan for distributing technology and supplies and what to do if you have any issues. Then, Mr. Porter will speak about school culture and the expectations for scholars and families. Finally, Mrs. Shotwell will wrap up with a preview of part 2 of orientation this evening, the live Zoom call at 5 p.m. With that said, thank you for tuning in so far, and I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Mackey to discuss virtual learning. I'll see you back here in a few. Thank you.
Hello, Veritas family. Miss Mackey here. I have the incredible opportunity to present to you our virtual education plan for the 2020-2021 school year. I think it goes without saying that now more than ever is the opportunity and the necessity to meet the range of learners that we have in our school by creating a strong strategic plan to ensure that our scholars are learning and succeeding. So with that being said, Veritas has made a very big effort to ensure that we are supporting our scholars. This year, we are having a delivery plan that ensures that our scholars have time with teachers and their peers to work, but also have time to focus on their own individual development. That being said, we do have synchronous and asynchronous learning days. These days will alternate as scholars will have opportunities to interact with their teachers, learn, ask questions, participate in discussions, and will be days where they get to practice strategies on their own with the support of teachers as always. On blue days, which will be Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, scholars will have blue days. On these blue days, virtual learning will reflect a traditional Veritas classroom. There will be homeroom. There will be opportunities for that live instruction, live sessions, which will be led by our instructional staff alongside their peers. The schedule will reflect very closely what scholars will see in a traditional setting. Scholars will have their cameras on and engage in the learning process, as well as complete practice and graded assignments, just like a traditional day. Scholars will be able to participate in live discussions and ask questions. Our teachers have set up instructional materials that incorporate the opportunity for scholars to get live feedback in this setting. Teachers will facilitate learning through instructional virtual strategies and platforms. We've been training super hard to ensure that we have an interactive platform for scholars to be able to participate in. On our goal days, and these will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays, virtual learning will be facilitated by teachers, but completed at the scholar's pace. In the spring, if you're a returning scholar, we got a lot of great feedback from scholars, loving the opportunity to really take the time to individualize and internalize their own learning. As a college prep school, we don't just want to teach our scholars the content, we want to teach them the skills to be prepared for the real world. And a part of that is being both responsible for your own learning and organized to get everything done. Asynchronous work must be submitted by 4 p.m. on the day it is assigned, which once again, Tuesday and Thursday, in order to be marked present for attendance and to receive grades. This is going to be super important, especially for our returning scholars. In the spring, we had opportunities for scholars to work throughout the entire week and turn everything in by a day. In our new 2020 plan, we are requiring scholars to submit their work by 4 p.m. so that they can get attendance credit, but also get their work submitted on that day so that the next day they're not falling behind. Now, this is a very interesting opportunity, and I'm sure a lot of scholars will be excited about this. We are not assigning homework on any of these days, but here's the catch. If you do not complete your work throughout the week, it does become homework, and that needs to be submitted by Sunday. This system is set up to ensure that our scholars are being accounted for, but also that they're not waiting till the last minute to try to complete their assignment, which we see turns into some scholars rushing or not giving their best quality work. Also, on asynchronous days, scholars will have graded practice opportunities and assignments on concepts taught and review on the blue days. We have been working strategically to ensure that our instruction on the gold day reflects and rolls into the practice opportunities on the following day. Scholars will not need to attend live sessions or office hours unless they missed the live session from a previous day. Now, we get it. We understand there might be a day when a scholar is trying really hard to log onto a live session and maybe the internet is not being their friend. We will be sure to accommodate that by offering follow-up lessons on the corresponding day so that a scholar can be caught up with their work. The live sessions on the asynchronous Tuesday and Thursday sessions might also be required for a scholar if a teacher or a parent deems that more support is needed. As we go through the school year, you might notice that your scholar needs just a little bit more help or supervision or push in a specific subject, and you may require them to go. You communicate that with the teacher and the scholar, and that will be available for them. And lastly, and I think most importantly, from a teacher's perspective, this is a great time for us to foster autonomy in our scholar, that ownership of their own learning and that responsibility once again. And also one of our core values of honesty, being able to ask questions and to reach out if you need help. Any scholar that sees that they need additional help, has questions, or wants to practice with a teacher may attend live sessions on these days where they're not required. Teachers will have office hours, and they are more than welcome to reach out and ask a teacher for more help or even just feedback. Now, we are going to be sending home on your technology pickup days the overall schedule, but I do want to take the time to review what the day in the life of a scholar will look like. If you are a returning scholar, a scholar family, this might look very similar to what you saw in the traditional environment, but just as a general overview, this is the schedule for a blue day, Monday and Friday. We didn't put Wednesday on this specific schedule because if you are new, or if you are returning and you don't remember, we do end school at 2 o'clock on Wednesdays, so the schedule is a little abbreviated, but it's generally the same. From 8 o'clock to 8:15, scholars will have a homeroom period in which they will enter their first virtual session and be able to take attendance, get some announcements, kind of chat with their teachers, get warmed up for the day. After that, they will have their first course. Now, please note, as you're looking down the gray side, we do have built-in breaks for scholars. We know a lot of feedback has been, that's a lot of time to be in front of the computer. We get it, and so we have been very intentional to build in breaks, either 5-minute or 10-minute breaks for scholars after almost every block, and building in an extra 5 minutes for lunch, okay? So scholars do have opportunities to be away from the computer, to rest their eyes, to take care of themselves, restroom, and also kind of do those little things between to keep them flowing through the day. We also do have RTI, so we will talk a little bit later about that with our scholars, about what that time looks like and how we support our scholars that need additional help, but also enrich those scholars that need that extra push. We also do have enrichment on every Monday and Friday. And as you will see in a few slides, we will have an advisory time. So scholars do have time to kind of come together with their staff and their classmates to have a little bit more fun and to do things that excite them. And enrichment might be an online dance team, yearbook club, a plant club, something fun for scholars to do to wrap up the end of their day and to celebrate with one another. The Wednesday schedule does reflect, once again, the Monday and Friday schedule, except that it is a 2 o'clock dismissal. So if you look closely, all of their academic blocks are 1 hour. They still have their break, and they will end in RTI and close out from there. Finally, I think this is the day that most people are the most curious about. How will a gold day look? Starting off the year, the gold day schedule will reflect the blue day schedule, except that scholars will have the opportunity to work on these assignments for that particular class on their own time. Office hours will be available for scholars, once again, to check in with their teachers, but this is a suggested schedule of how scholars should work. And if scholars are following this schedule on their own, they should have all their assignments completed by 4 o'clock. Please keep in mind that on a gold day, scholars are still required to check in during RTI and advisory. Those are not optional. So I say that once again, on a gold day, just because it's asynchronous and they're kind of working on their own, that does not mean that they're completely on their own. They do still have checkpoints for checking in with staff during RTI as well as advisory. Scholars will receive this schedule, and during the first week of school, we will go through everything with them so that they know where to be. We will make sure that they waterfall into their next session. Teachers will be sharing links for their next courses so that they don't get lost along the way in the virtual environment. We will make sure that this also goes home, and we suggest that you hang this up somewhere in home so that scholars can refer to it and reflect on it daily. Live instruction will take place via Zoom. I know that there's been a lot of news about what's going on with Zoom and some other locations. We have been practicing and including a lot of great safeguards and strategies to ensure that our Zoom sessions are secure. That includes having a waiting room and also only releasing our Zoom sessions to our individual scholars via their email in the Google Classroom. We ask that no scholar ever shares their Zoom access or access information to someone outside of the course, as to protect the security of our Zoom sessions. On day one, scholars will have a Zoom link in which to access a school-wide Zoom session to start the day. After that, class links will be released on Google Classroom and via email to ensure that scholars can connect to every single one of their classes. Cameras are to be on during live instruction, and then after that, scholars will have instructions from their teachers on how to interact in the Zoom sessions. Microphones and chats are to only be used for instructional uses unless otherwise deemed by an instructor. We're asking for families to help to facilitate this specific expectation in order to ensure, once again, that our Zoom sessions are safe and interactive for our scholars. We want to ensure that the environment is respectful, but also one that scholars can use to help them learn. Gmail. Every single scholar at Veritas College Prep has their own professional email address. The email address will be their username at veritascollegeprep.org. I want to express that .org because sometimes when scholars try to log into their email address, they use .com and they tend to get a little confused on how to get in. So once again, when scholars are logging on to gmail.com, we will send these instructions home as well. When you go to gmail.com and it asks you for your username, you want to type in, for example, my email address is amackey@veritascollegeprep.org, and then the password will be sent home with scholars. Scholars should check their email daily. I want to stress the importance of this because we've seen in the past some scholars took some days off from checking their email, and it resulted in a long list of emails and missing assignments and announcements. Generally, this professionally used email address will be used to send scholars direct announcements and messages from school staff. to get Google Classroom instructions and messages as teachers release different announcements and assignments that will also bounce to their Gmail address. So it's important to keep your messages read daily so that you're not confusing Monday for Tuesday, but also that you're not missing anything that your teacher might send out. Google Classroom instructions and messages, grade updates can be seen through the Gmail account. So you want to make sure that scholars are checking that and then that they are able to see how they're performing in class, because that progress is very important. And any other resources, whether that be a school resource or an individual teacher's resource. Ensure that your scholar is checking their email. I've mentioned this before, but we are using Google Classroom in order to instruct our scholars and provide them opportunities to access resource. One Google Classroom will be made per subject, and scholars will receive an invitation to join that specific Google Classroom prior to the start of class. Coursework will be submitted on Google Classroom unless otherwise assigned by an instructor, and scholars will be able to go under a tab that says classwork to see what they're missing or what is up and coming. During the first week of school, parents will be sent instructions on how to connect with their scholars' Google Classroom. We're waiting to push this information out just so that we have an inventory of every parent's email address. And once you sign up to receive updates on your scholar, you will be able to see any missing work, any assignments that they didn't perform well on, and you can also kind of help them to stay organized. iReady and map testing, depending on the school that you might have attended last year. And if you are a returning scholar family, you are probably familiar with map testing. Map testing is a diagnostic tool that we use to help ensure that we're teaching scholars the things that they need to do to continuously evolve. iReady is also another tool that we're going to be using this year to administer a benchmark and diagnostic of skills and monitor our growth through the year. We are really excited to be able to have the opportunities to inventory our scholar skills in the beginning of the year and create a monitoring system to ensure that they are meeting the mark. It's nothing like being a teacher and not knowing whether or not your scholars are learning and growing. This is a great way for us to do that. With that being said, fidelity is key. We are inventorying skills to plan our instruction. If we don't know what our scholars know genuinely or what they don't know, it can be a little challenging to ensure that we're streamlining and being very efficient and effective, especially after scholars not being in a traditional learning environment since March. We want to know what our scholars know and what they need help with. With that being said, no outside resources or help is needed. I know that scholars might get a little frustrated or stuck on a problem, and that's good. That means that they're working their way up to the more advanced skills. Please allow them the opportunity to answer on their own and encourage them to only use their brain to answer questions. It's okay if they get questions wrong. They should anticipate that. That's going to help us make them a better scholar. Once again, on those assessments, it's going to happen in those first couple weeks of school. Please allow scholars to work on their own and not have any outside resources. Scholars will have adequate time to test. One of the great things about the asynchronous schedule and the opportunity for scholars to learn at their own pace is that in traditional years, we only had certain time frames for them to complete the test. Now scholars can complete the tests at their own pace. We will send out more instructions and updates about iReady and map testing during the first week of school. Are you day one ready? I know this is a lot of information, and I want to say once again, when you all get your supplies, we will have a lot of this information printed out, and you can rewatch the video if there was anything that you missed. Are you day one ready? Here are some things to do to ensure that you and your scholar are ready for the first day of VCP Virtual 2020. Pick up your technology, supplies, and login credentials. Mr. Getchman will come back on in just a moment, and he will tell you more about how to get technology, supplies. Every class has a set of supplies that will be provided to scholars. You do not need to go out and buy anything unless you see it appropriate. And login credentials. So even if you do have technology at home that you are using, you do need to still come by and get your supplies and your login credentials for both iReady, Kickboard, and our email addresses. Update your contact information. At the end of today's orientation, Mrs. Shotwell will show you a tutorial of how to update your contact information if it's not updated already with the school. Set up a scholar workplace. I cannot be more excited about the opportunity for our scholars to take pride in where they learn at home. Some recommendations that I have for a great workspace is somewhere where they have a flat surface, somewhere where they have some writing room, somewhere where they can be free from distractions, somewhere where they can sit up, somewhere that is well lit, as our cameras will be on during instruction. Scholars might also want to have a pair of headphones so that they can really listen in and be zoned into their session. Other workplace considerations: make sure that scholars have access to a charging port just in case their device goes dead throughout the day. Other things to do to be day one ready: have your scholars check their emails on Friday for a welcome back email and instructions on how to access school on the first day. And finally, have your scholars logged on by 8 a.m. on Monday the 31st, because they're not going to want to miss the start to VCP virtual. We have something special planned and we want to make sure all of our scholars are logged in. With that being said, I am super excited for this school year. If you are a returning scholar, things will be a little different, but we are excited about what that means for you. As a college prep school, one of the biggest things for us to do is to make sure you're prepared for the future. The world right now is super unprecedented. Things have not been this way ever. And so we have some challenges, but we also have some great opportunities to ensure that we are being college ready. With that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Getchman, and he's going to share some more information about technology and some other logistics.
Thank you, Ms. Mackey. This year, each scholar will be receiving a new laptop for use during VCP Virtual. We're excited to get these devices in your hands, but as you've read my recent emails, we've hit a bit of a bump in the road with our computers. As I've mentioned, Veritas purchased its devices along with Shelby County Schools in order to get the best deal, and what we hoped for was a speedy delivery. Unfortunately, SES made a major mistake and submitted our order almost a month late. This means that our new computers aren't scheduled to be delivered until mid-September. But have no fear, we'll still be working to equip your scholar with the technology they need in order to be successful. For those scholars that indicated that they do not have a device already at home, we will be distributing computers from our current school inventory during the supply pickups this week. You should be receiving contact from a team member to confirm your status. And for those of you who said that you did have something at home to work on, we ask that you continue to use that device until our new machines arrive. We've been told that shipping dates are likely to improve, so we're hoping this only takes a week or two, and then we'll distribute the new computers to everyone. Regarding distribution and school supplies, Veritas has decided to forego the option of the school supply fee this year, and we will be directly providing each scholar with the supplies that they need. Now, due to virtual learning, the vast majority of the work will take place on the computer. However, our teachers have selected any additional materials that your scholar will need, such as composition notebooks, pencils, etc. In order to get school supplies out to everyone and computers to those who need it, we're having supply pickups at the following times this week: Thursday, August 27th from 1 to 6 p.m., Friday, August 28th from 11 to 2 and 4 to 6, and Saturday, August 29th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. At these pickup events, you'll pull up directly in front of the school and a team member will assist you with getting what you need. If you have paperwork that still needs to be submitted, such as shot records or birth certificates, those documents can be copied and submitted at these events. Now, we know that no matter how well we plan and prepare for this type of learning, there are going to be some difficulties and hiccups along the way. That is why we've created a couple different teams to address the different issues that may arise. First, regarding any issues with the computers, and we know they'll happen, the tech team is ready and available to help you troubleshoot. A group of staff members, including myself, will be tasked specifically with responding to the problems your scholars encounters during the school day. To reach the tech team, you can call the main office at 526-1900. You can email the team at support@veritascollegeprep.org, or you can send a GChat or message to individual team members, which will be posted on our website and distributed later. For the non-tech issues that pop up, the members of our rapid response team are at your service. Once again, call to the main office. We'll connect you with one of these team members to discuss your issue and develop a plan of attack. We know that times can be really hard right now, and we want you to know that we're there for you and we're here to support you in any way that we can. Now, I'd like to turn it over to our Dean of Students, Mr. Porter, to discuss some of the expectations for scholars and families.
Hello, VCP family. This is Mr. Porter, the Dean of Students at Veritas College Prep. I want to start off by welcoming everyone to our 2021 school year. I want to give a big welcome to our former scholars who are returning, our families returning, and I also want to give a great, huge welcome to our new scholars and our new families that we're having starting this 2021 school year. As we know, we are going with the virtual setting this year until further notice. This is something new, it's something different. It is a challenge in which here at Veritas, we like challenges. So we are looking forward to it. We've had a lot of training, all of the teachers and staff pretty pumped up and ready to go. So we want to get our scholars the same and get our families pumped up. So this video is being recorded. If you have any questions, whether that's through the video or if it's on this segment where I'm talking, there will be some information at the end that I will leave you where you can get in touch with me personally if you have any questions. And if you did miss something, don't worry, we will have another video on the next day that will be live, and you will be able to ask any questions in real time, and we'll answer those questions for you as best we can. So with that being said, I'm going to get started. I'm going to touch on a few pieces on our culture piece. Some things you're going to see have changed. Some things are kind of the same, but we just want to touch on it so everyone kind of has a vision of what this school year, this virtual school year will look like. And for me in particular on the culture side. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to share my screen here. All right. For those of you who don't know me, and for the ones who do know me, again, my name is Mr. Porter. I'm the Dean of Student Life here at Veritas College Prep. My mission is to maintain a safe, structured, and disciplined school environment. We want to prepare scholars to contribute to their communities as ethical leaders. And we achieve this through clarity and consistency through the school and through the home connections. Just to give you a brief overview of me, not going to be long. I am a Memphian. I am from Memphis, born and raised. I am from the neighborhood of Orange Mound, if you guys are familiar with that. Graduated White Station High School and went to Lemoyne-Owen College. So that's just a little overview of me. We'll have time again jumping into this school year. And again, if you have any questions for me, we'll have time for that as well when we do our live. So let's get started. All right, so the agenda today for the culture management, we're going to go over scholar expectations, which isn't a lot different from what you've seen in the past when we're physically in the school, but there are a few changes there. Obviously, we had to change up a little bit on the wheel since we are going into this virtual setting. The dress code is a little bit different. It's not as it was when we are here physically in the school. We're going to go over our software Kickboard. For those who are unfamiliar with Kickboard, that's a software we use here. It tracks data, both behavior data, and also academic data. And this is something that the parents can have where you can track what your scholar is doing in real time. We'll talk a little bit about food distribution, what day you can come and pick up food for scholars, and what times. I'll talk briefly on some of our community partners. Some of you may have been with these community partners before. Some of you may be familiar with them. Sometimes they do have great resources, so just going to touch on them a little bit. And then last but not least, and probably one of the biggest pieces, we're going to end it on communication. So here at Veritas College Prep, behavior expectations. Here at VCP, we've always went with the warm and strict approach. We also say that we sweat the small stuff. And we sweat the small stuff because what we've learned in our time, our 10 years now, we've learned that when you sweat the small stuff, scholars get used to that. So it turns into a norm to kind of boost up that good positive behavior, and it brings out that integrity without having to redirect scholars as often. So we do sincerely believe in our scholars. We hold them to a very high expectation to internalize that positive behavior. We believe in keeping scholars in school. Obviously, we're not in school right now, but we are in school. So this goes in the classroom setting, whether that's virtual or if that's in person. We are all about setting our scholars up for success. We say that, and we don't just say it, we mean it, and that is our goal. Continuing with behavior expectations. So more importantly, we are strict. Again, we're strict because your child does deserve an excellent education. So does your neighbor's child. We are a school that is not zoned. We've had scholars that love the school so much honestly, I've had a scholar that got his mom to drive him from Oakland, Tennessee to South Memphis every day, just because he loved Veritas so much. And it gave us a big push and a big remembrance of why we're here. So again, this is not a district, it's not a zone school. So if you know anyone that is interested in a good middle school, 6th through 8th grade, please pass the information along. Our teachers are able to create an environment where kids are safe. They're highly trained, certified, and we keep the classroom where it's cool to be smart and no one has to worry about raising their hand or asking any questions. It's a big push on participation, and if you don't know, say something. So because sometimes someone else might not raise their hand and they have the same question as you. So we make sure that we push that safe environment where it is cool to be smart and learn and ask questions. For those who don't know, Veritas in Latin actually stands for truth. So we instill these core values that you see here on the screen. We break them down in the acronym. So the first T is for teamwork, R is for respect, U for urgency. The second T is for tenacity, and then that H is for honesty. And we try to instill all of these core values in our scholars each and every day. So we're going to speak a little bit. You see the note to the side, it says scholars are awarded merits when they demonstrate these behaviors individually. And they can also get it as a class when they demonstrate these values as a whole class. And we'll talk a little bit more about that into the video. So here are some examples of our core values, and these are some examples of what scholars could do to get merits as they're going about their school day in different classes and different periods. I'll just name a few. So you see teamwork, you can show some support. As here at the Veritas, we do this and we can still do that even though we're virtual, we can still give that support. Following up on another scholar's behalf if they weren't here to get notes. So things of that nature. It's pretty self-explanatory. The scholars, they know it, they learn it. Again, this is something that we instill in them to push that positive behavior. So these are our merits. This is what scholars earn for their positive behaviors. So again, we do like to reward positive behavior here, especially when the scholars are going above and beyond. Again, the scholars do receive merits. They can receive individual prizes. We do have a raffle that we come up with this year. Scholars can be entered in that raffle and in that drawing and could win prizes from that as well. And teachers also will come up with different incentives for the whole class. We do like to have kind of a competitive approach here where homerooms are going against homerooms. So scholars will see that as well. So here are our demerits. These are the things that scholars do when we have to redirect them. We don't like to look at them as just consequences or to say that the scholars are in trouble. We more so look at it as intervention and to redirect those scholars in the right direction if they're making any bad choices at that time. So as you can see, you see off task, insubordination, bathroom. We have something set up for bathroom. We have breaks, so scholars would know what time their breaks are. Of course, if anyone has any parents have any notes, or if we speak with any parents about any issues coming from the doctor, that's another story, and we would modify that rule. We have virtual disrespect, making sure scholars are respectful with each other. Inappropriate response. We tell scholars you can say yes, no, yes sir, no sir, and just be respectful. Even if it's something that you don't agree with at that time, you give that appropriate response, and then you wait until the appropriate time, and then you can go to your teacher or go to an administrator and have a conversation around any issues or any concerns that you may have as a scholar. Continuing on demerits, you see contraband. Obviously, we want scholars in a quiet and secluded area in the house where they're away from any distractions, any pets, any TVs, cell phones. We don't want to see any combs, picks, things like that. We want to treat it like a regular school day. On a regular school day, you would get up, you would wash your face, you would take care of your hygienes, your personal things, your hair, young ladies, your makeup if you're wearing makeup. So those are things that you take care of before starting school. So those are the mirrors that you can earn. That is something that we don't want to see during instruction because that could be a distraction. Cell phones are absolute no-no. You will be able to use those on your break, and we'll go more over that as we get started. The teachers also will have an orientation, a scholar orientation, so they go more into depth. And Mr. Porter I'll also be talking and going a little bit more in depth with scholars on exactly what that means and what that looks like. No inappropriate language, and you see academic dishonesty. Obviously, we don't want anyone committing plagiarism and copying off anyone else's work. Those are some demerits that you can get that do take away from your scholar dollars, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that is when we get into our scholar orientation. So let's just try to stay away from that. Again, we'll go over this, but let's try not to focus too much on the demerits because we're going to be getting a bunch of merits this year, right? So moving on, we do have a dress code. No, you do not have to wear your uniforms this year. Mr. Porter, I have on my Veritas uniform today. But you don't have to wear your uniform. That's not mandatory, at least right now while we're in the virtual setting. We do want to see you in your day clothes. No pajamas. Scholars must wear appropriate clothing to all virtual classrooms. So pajamas, tank tops, shirts with inappropriate pictures or words, etc. All of that is absolutely not proper attire while learning virtually. No cutouts, inappropriate shorts, which we shouldn't see your shorts anyway. But in case you do get up, we do some brain exercises or some brain breaks and we're stretching out, just make sure you're wearing the appropriate clothing. Nothing that we can see through. Young ladies, no bonnets. Young ladies and fellas, no hats, no do-rags. Again, no combs or picks, or the sponges that some of the scholars, the young men use for their hair. None of that. All of that is considered contraband. And then no hoods on, no hoodies. We need to see your face. And this is a rule that goes even when you're in person at school. So it says there at the bottom, if the scholars who do not comply with the dress code expectations will be remotely removed from their virtual classroom, and they will be moved into a classroom with the administration, which will most likely be myself or Mr. Gessman. And then we'll reinforce that expectation. And if that scholar still chooses not to comply, that will result in a parent phone call home. All right, going into Kickboard. So Kickboard, this is Kickboard Parent Student Portal, but it's more so for the parent access, but parents and students do keep up with their data on this. As you can see here, it says has a username and password. It asks for an access code. You're going to get a packet, parents, when you do your pickups for your supplies and technologies and things of that nature. So along with that, you will get your scholar's access code. This portal and Kickboard, it has 4 main sections. It goes over behavior, where it gives you a summary on those merits and demerits that I talked about. Scholars do get a paycheck. They do get have a bank balance that they can keep up with. And again, those are the bank balance and how much they have that usually goes toward incentives for those scholars. You'll see the most recent behaviors. Again, you can see that in real time. There will be a list of the scholars' behaviors that's recorded, and it will be listed chronologically. You will also see academics, the scholars' course grades and GPA by each period. And you will also see if your scholar is missing any assignments that they need to make up or turn in. So here's an example of what that access code paper that you receive will look like. Obviously, Joe isn't a scholar here at Veritas, but this is just an example of what that looks like. It gives you the website where you can type in and go log in. Select your role as a family member. It'll say family member or student. You select family member, enter that access code, and then enter your scholar's birthday and whatever that access code is right there, and then just follow the instructions on the screen. It's pretty simple and pretty straightforward. So that's how you access your parent portal on Kickboard. So the parent portal shows, again, a detailed view of your scholar's daily activity. This doesn't matter where you are. You can check it whether you're at home, at work, out of town. It doesn't matter. The parent student portal is a way for parents and students to receive real-time updates on their success in school, either on their computer or your mobile device. Speaking of mobile device, it does have a feature on there where we can message you. Staff members can message parents from the school, and parents can also message us back. Unfortunately, Kickboard hasn't come up with any coding yet where they can do that through emails or just through you being on your laptop. That is something that you would have to do through your mobile device, and Kickboard is an app that you can download on your phone. So once you get that access code and you get your login, you can, and I push and I ask, it is mandatory. We need all parents to please go and download that app, sign in there so that you have it saved. And again, that you will see that data in real time. And if you have any questions, or if something's not going right or the access code is not working, please just reach out to us here at the school. Food distribution. So again, for now, while we're in this virtual setting, that will be on Thursdays and Fridays. So on Thursday, that'll be from 8 a.m. until 12 p.m. and also 1 p.m. until 5 p.m. Again, this Thursday. On Friday, there's only one window of time. That's from 9 a.m. until 12 p.m. The pickup location is right around the corner from our school, at Hamilton High School, located at 1363 East Person. Again, it's right around the corner from the school. And when you pick up that supply should last for a week. It's supposed to be a school week, which is 5 days worth of meals. here are some of our community partners that we've been working with for a while here, especially since we moved a few years ago. So MAM, Memphis Athletic Ministries, we work with closely with them. We work with their after school program. They have been trying to offer assistance to parents who may have to work and need their scholar to have somewhere safe to go where they can still be monitored and still keep that social distancing. Um, right now, unfortunately, they have only a small number that they can take versus what they usually take in their after school program, and they are pretty booked up. However, I am working with them and seeing if we can find any more buildings where maybe they can spread out, and if parents need that resource, they can reach out. And even if there's a resource that you need, I might not have it right now, but that's my job, and I will work on it, and I promise you I will do my best to make sure that you do get those resources. We also work with Repairing the Breach, which is a part of Divine Life Church. We've also went through them for our after school program. Also working with them right now, trying to see if we could set up any locations for those families that need those, that are going to work and need those, want their scholars somewhere safe under adult supervision. And then at the bottom you see there Alcy Ball Development Corporation. We've been working with them since we got over here. They have a lot of resources. They've helped families get into homes, job. They help with job placement, just different plethora of resources that they offer. If there's something that you're looking for, please let me know. I know they also help with resumes, anything like that. So if there's any type of resources there that you need, please just reach out and let me know. This is one call. I'm going to leave this here for just a second. Please add this number to your contact list. That way you know it's us when we're calling. There are some very, very important messages that come through when this number pops up. As a matter of fact, you should have gotten a message about our pickup days. You get a message about this actual family orientation that you're watching right now, so you would have known that it was coming up. So again, if you don't have this number, please save this number in your phone. The number is 877-698-3261. And then if you want to receive text alerts, you can text the word alert to 22300. A one call message, it says here at 6 p.m. We try to send it the day before, but sometimes you might get it in the morning, or we might have to send out a couple. You just never know. So please, again, just make sure that you save that number in your contacts, and you can just save that as VCP one call, so that you know that that's us when we're calling, because that will be a big form of our communication. And we do depend on that to get that information to our families, any information that we need to get to our families. Again, communication is key. I put up here, let us know. Obviously, again, we're transitioning into this new virtual school setting. It's new, it's something new again for all of us. So I'm sure there will be some challenges, as I said earlier, that will arise. But you take a deep breath and just know that you're not alone in this situation. It takes a village. We are a village here at Veritas College Prep, so we can't have one without the other. We have to work together. So we need you just as much as you need us, or as much as your scholars need us. So again, we want to treat that like a village. If you have to have any concerns, please let us know, and we will do whatever we can to help. School operations. So these times are kind of the same from what you saw last year. Obviously, there won't be scholars in the building. There won't always be too many adults in the building on certain days. So our school operations Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 7:45 until 4 p.m. You should be able to get in touch with someone here at the school. we do have the abbreviated day still on Wednesdays, where we as a staff get together and we have our professional development in order to go over any data and just basically make ourselves better for our scholars. So we still do recognize that Wednesday where we do shut off a little early so that we can get that professional development in. But anytime during these times, as long as it's not a holiday or an abbreviated day, which we would let you know about in advance, someone should be available by phone. Down here I have at the bottom our office number, and that number is 901-526-1900. Again, I can't stress enough, communication is key. Again, we went over your Kickboard parent access portal, phone calls, emails. You'll have the administration's email. You'll have your teachers' emails. We have our parents and our scholars automatically have a Veritas email that we set them up with. So just make sure that we're keeping that communication line open. Again, you will receive some paperwork. As far as the Kickboard, you have some things to sign off. Scholars will have some things to sign off as far as expectations. Your scholar does still get a paycheck that we want parents to be able to go on Kickboard through that access portal and check every week. So we'll go over that. But again, it is mandatory. We are asking parents, please download that Kickboard app once you've got that access code and set up your login, and go ahead and get that connected on your phone. Again, I'm Mr. Porter, the Dean of Students here. This is my mobile number. You can get in touch with me directly at this number at 901-326-2846. You can also text me. If I don't answer, you can leave me a message and I will get back with you as soon as possible. You can also reach me at my email, which is mporter@veritascollegeprep.org. And again, once I get that, I will get back with you as soon as possible. With that being said, that's the end of my presentation on culture. Again, we do have another live session coming up where you can ask questions in real time. I look forward to seeing everybody. Again, welcome, again, all families. Welcome to this 2021 school year. And we're going to take this challenge on together, and we're going to make this one of the best school years ever. So I can't wait to see everyone soon. Thank you, and I'll see you guys later.
Hello to all our families. My name is Ms. Shotwell. I'm the 8th grade math teacher here at Veritas, and I will be giving you your next steps for family orientation. We realize you may still have questions, and we want to give you the opportunity to get some of those answered. Tonight at 5 p.m., Veritas will have a live Zoom session in order to address several topics, including IEP 504 support, grade-specific questions, or administrative questions. Parents will be emailed the Zoom link they will use to join the live session. There are 2 ways that parents can make sure we have an updated email address in order to receive the link for the live Zoom session. The first option is calling the school at our telephone number 901-526-1900. The other option is completing a family contact information update form, which can be found at our website, veritascollegeprep.org. I will quickly show you how to access that on our website. At the top of the web page, you should see a button for Family Contact Update. This will take you to an electronic form to fill out. Making sure your contact is updated as soon as possible will ensure you are able to join our live session tonight. We, the Veritas team, have been tasked with recreating what learning and education looks like for our scholars. While this is an ongoing process, we are looking forward to partnering with our families in order to ensure we support scholars adequately in their learning and growth this year. Thank you so much for your time, and we hope to see you this evening.